This afternoon, I have the pleasure of speaking to David Staley. I met David a number of years ago now when I first met him, when he came in for his consultation with his wife, and I believe with your dad at that time, David, when I first met you. It's always a privilege to be alongside people when they're experiencing or going through something as difficult as that is. And as a nurse, I just want to let you know that when you are alongside somebody in those very difficult situations, it really is a privilege. So and I'm very grateful to you for letting me speak to you again this afternoon.
Oh, it's a pleasure, thank you.
So how are you?
Yeah, no, keeping well. Health wise is I'm all good, and staying away from no symptoms of COVID as well, which is great. But generally, yeah, I've been keeping well. Bit of a dodgy back, but apart from that, I'm doing well. Thank you.
So how long is it since your diagnosis, and can you just talk us through the treatment that you had?
Yeah. So I was diagnosed end of October 2015. So I'm coming up to 4.5 years now. I had full lung removal, so I had my left lung removed in November 15. And then I started 4 rounds of chemotherapy in January 16 and finished in the April 16. So yeah, I had cisplatin and permatrexed, or however you pronounce it. I can't quite remember, Lorraine.
That's right.
I got that one right. So it's I'm fortunate that I'm 4 years treatment free now. So which is brilliant. And I've just started. I last had my appointment in January, so I'm now on annual checkups. So I've just moved from 6 monthly checkups to annual checkups. So which is great.
That's tremendous. I was going to say to you, have you had any checkups during the time since the pandemic, since we went into lockdown? But for you, it was all done and dusted before we went into lockdown.
Yes, I had that back. Yeah, so it was the end of January that I went into the hospital to see them. So yeah, I've had a follow up call with specialist nurse Mareed, checking up on us and making sure I was okay and whether I had the letter or not, etc. But so I've had a phone conversation, which was much appreciated.
Yeah, we've tried to do that to keep in touch with people, and I think the people who were waiting follow-up during this period and not knowing what was going to happen, it's been very, very difficult, but it is important to keep in touch with the clinical team if there's anything you've got to ask or anything you need to have sorted out for you, for want of a better expression. So how's the family now?
Yeah, they're keeping well. My wife did have a chest infection back in early March, just before all this started, and at the time we did wonder whether it was COVID or not. So she wasn't tested because she was only having 2 out of the 3 symptoms, but she still does have and she suffers with asthma as well. So obviously that's in the high risk category as well. So or one of the high risk categories. So she did have to have a hospital trip a couple of weeks ago when she had a few pains and was uncomfortable. But they think it's just I guess the aftermath of the chest infection from the start of March. So but all's okay now. So yeah. The kids keeping us entertained. That's for sure. And busy.
So you both found yourself, you and Ali found yourself in the extremely vulnerable or vulnerable categories for shielding. So how's shielding?
Yes. So we started early March with it, really, before the government had announced that we had started it. And we take it back to when it was during chemotherapy, really. It was similar time then. We kind of shielded ourselves as a family as much as we could. Obviously the kids went to school, but constantly washing hands. Anyone who come in the house, we did allow people in, but anyone who had any bug would never come in the house. Anyone who came in the house had to have hand gel, etc. So it did remind me of going through chemotherapy at the start, but obviously this is worse in one, well, it's worse in one sense and not in another. Obviously chemotherapy is awful, but then at least during chemo we could see people and people would come round, and where now obviously you can't see people. And you know, a friend of ours even said that it was a friend's daughter's birthday the other day. We went round to her house, and she said, I just want to cuddle people, I just want to have a hug with people. And you know, you can't do that. It's hard, but I guess for shielding, for us as a family, you know, we're not you know, at the start, and we're not going to supermarkets as everyone else. You know, we are, I guess the only thing we are doing that we're not meant to do is go for a walk. So, but we're lucky in that round the corner from where we live, there's a big open space with a golf course. So we've been able to keep quite clear from everyone and not come across anyone because of the open space. So we're fortunate in that. But then the golf course is opening again on Wednesday, so we won't be allowed to use it. So that's going to be a different challenge. But we are going out for daily walks. We've got a dog as well, and we need to for the kids to give them as well. So it's a balancing act. So, but we're just taking the necessary precautions really. And the hard bit as well is when you know we're getting online deliveries. So we're not going to supermarket shops. Friends are doing that for us if we can't go in. But we're getting a Sainsbury's delivery every week, and you know, we're washing any post or food that come in the house. We're washing down with with a antibacterial wipe as well where we can with food. You can't do it on all food, but most food. So we're taking extra precautions there as well. So it's
great. It's great to know that you're taking all those precautions, and you hit the nail on the head with the hand washing or the hand gel. That is the safest thing that anybody can do, isn't it? Really, obviously you're shielding, but wherever you are, then you know that's the safest thing that anybody can.
Yeah. And sometimes you do forget sometimes, and then other times you are washing your hands, and you know, my hands are red raw and rough as, you know, trying to put moisturiser on for the first time in my life because the hands are getting ruined with all the washing up. But I'm sure everyone's the same.
And you mentioned the children there. The children have grown since I first met you. Just remind me how old the children are.
Yeah. So Joshua's 12, 13 teenager in June next month, and Evan's 10. Yes, they're certainly keeping us busy, and keep my wife occupied more than me.
They're in a very sociable age, though, aren't they? You know, coming to the end of primary school, you know, getting over that first year of secondary school. So that must be very difficult for them in lockdown.
Yes, it is. It has been. You know, I guess with the two kids have actually probably got on better now because, you know, they didn't socialise between themselves as much as they have done. They've always got on, but there was definitely more niggles before this. But now that they are playing a lot more together. Don't get me wrong, they're still arguing and occasional flare-ups, shall we say. But it's hit them hard and hits them harder at times, certain times. But luckily, they're part of a local scout group. So throughout April, the scout group set them a daily challenge. So as well as the schoolwork, they had a daily challenge from scouts. That could have been there was art, craft activities, you know, take I think down movie, you know, a scene from a movie. They had to camp out every night or build a den every day. So there's various activities that the scout group did for the kids. So that kept them occupied throughout April, and schoolwork does. But they are missing their friends, you know. So they are FaceTiming their friends a lot more. So I think the biggest challenge is trying to keep them off their iPhones or the tablets or the iPads. Too much screen time. So it's managing that as well as trying to manage. Well, yeah, we need to get on with work or we need to get on with jobs. So they do need it sometimes. So it's a difficult one. But
so you work from home the majority of the time. The kids are schooling there. And
yes.
I is obviously at home trying to work at times, and so it's very difficult. And you know, how how are you? What are your thoughts going forward? I know a couple of weeks before we went into lockdown, well, probably about 3 weeks before we went
Yeah.
into the lockdown, we spoke on the telephone, and your query then was about the children and should you bring them out to school then. The guidance
Yes.
then was follow this herd immunity, but guidance has changed, and we know going forward that the guidance will change. We don't know when, but in the near future, we hope or we think that the guidance will change about schooling, and that will bring another question to your lives, won't it?
Yeah. You know, before Boris announced, I think they announced on the whatever date it was in March, on the Friday, that, you know, schools were closing. You know, we'd already had our 2 out 4 days that week, but that was because Alison had been having, my wife had been having symptoms, and that was because he announced that on the Monday night. But I think we spoke that Monday morning, and we were deliberating to bring the kids out of school because we didn't want them to catch something, we can get home, and obviously me being on the vulnerable high risk, and also my wife being slightly vulnerable as well. It's a tough one, and you think we're going back to school, and whenever that will be, you know, we're going to have this dilemma for some time, because until there's a cure or there's a vaccine that's going to help us, we're always going to have this. And we're going to have a decision to make. Do we let the kids? Do we pull the kids out of school, or do we send them to school and then we will have to self-isolate as a family? I guess we'd have to shield in the house, so therefore I won't be able to be in the same room as them, or I won't be able to eat with them, or I'd have to eat from a distance, and we'd have to be constantly washing. And so you're balancing that against the mental well-being of the kids as well, and the school, and are they going to miss? They're already going to miss quite a bit, and if we leave them out another 6 months, you know, it is a worry.
Mm-hmm.
But if it means, you know, you do anything for your kids, Lorraine, as you well know, you know. So
Yeah.
myself, you know, shielding in as best as I can away from them at home, so they can go out and go to school. So it's going to be a balance act, and we'll have to take the advice, I guess, at the time, to see if the schools can provide. But we were talking at lunch about it. You know, if the kids go back in June, and my younger daughter, whenever she's year 5, I think it's year 6 going, but if they were to be called in and they're only going back 1 or 2 days a week, then she's not going to, you don't feel they're going to miss it out as much, so we'll pull them out. But they're going back full time, and we'll have a decision to make. So, yeah, it's not an easy one.
The complexities are there, and we haven't
Yes.
got guidance, and I think we just hope that you know, as restrictions are lifted, that, you know, we don't go back into, you know, like we were in the first phase of the dreadful numbers of fatalities due to COVID-19, and or the number of people developing COVID-19. So there's a lot to happen for us to move forward, isn't there? And for people like you, like, have a bit of peace of mind, really.
Yes, yeah. We've got, it is, and you know, we've got the added. Luckily for me, work has been so supportive. So, you know, they're very flexible. So if you need to be there for your kids are your priority, and then you work around it. So, but with Ali not working as much now, we're able to manage it. But if it wasn't, then work had been brilliant and supportive, which is a bonus. But I appreciate that's not the same for everyone as well. So so many of us, and everyone has different circumstances. But yeah, it's certainly, you never thought this summer, you know, we joke, bring back Brexit, you know, and all that debate beforehand. So it's you never imagined we'd be in this place, in this situation, that's for sure.
We were sick of the news then, weren't we? And now we're all there hanging on every word, which sometimes can not be too good for us, can it? You know, we can get too much of the news, really. It can actually bring your you know, psychological state down a bit, but we need enough so that we're informed to move forward, for everybody to have the information that they need, and guidance, really.
Yeah, we're trying to, at the start, the first week you're watching it every night, but now we try, and, you know, when you know there's an important announcement like yesterday coming up, we'd watch that, but other than that, we might just try and watch the headlines, and then and then walk away, because otherwise, you're right, we stopped watching it every day, because yeah, it can certainly get you down. So it's just trying to keep your mind occupied and doing various things and switching off, and probably playing more with the kids or playing games or watching telly, and started watching Outnumbered, which is an old classic.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not always appropriate for the kids, but yeah, it's quite funny.
When you have a condition like mesothelioma, it lets you remember how important everything is in life, doesn't it? The simple things. And I think this COVID-19 pandemic has reinforced that, hopefully for everybody, but it's a double whammy for you, isn't it? That the threats are there to your general health, and you've been under that threat, to know now that every day as it comes, really, I should imagine, and value what you've got in your lovely family.
Yeah, definitely. If you said to me 4 years ago or 4.5 years ago, I'd be here in 4.5 years' time, I'd snap your hand off, Lorraine, and then and you do live each day as best as you can. Doesn't always, some days it's not always like that. You have your challenging days and your good days, and you have your bad days, but it certainly does make you think, and especially through this situation, it's probably, it puts it all in perspective again. And I think the experience of going through mesothelioma, you've got chemotherapy, which was the worst part of it, and diagnosis and stuff. So I guess that's worse than this in a sense. But then for some, it's not. For you think of the families that have lost loved ones, and it's hard. It's hard. Scary numbers, 30,000 or whatever it is. It's terrible.
Well, I'm going to let you go. It's been great to speak to you again. Many thanks for all you do for Mesothelioma UK. You help us on our advisory board, you speak at conferences for us, and I'm always really, really grateful. But personally, it's always lovely to speak to you. So take care.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I hope all the family can as well.
All right. Thank you. Take care. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye.